Hello, I am Sam Himmel, your Superintendent of Schools. I would like to take a few minutes to share the importance of the half-cent sales tax referendum that will be on the upcoming August ballot. One of the greatest challenges facing our school district is the inability to keep up with growing maintenance and facility needs. While this decision weighed heavily on our school board, it was a necessary and unanimous decision to move forward. It's through the tremendous efforts of our students, teachers, parents, administration, support staff, and our community that we've been able to maintain high levels of achievement, and for the past 10 consecutive years, we have been recognized by the state of Florida as a high-performing school district. Despite our academic success, it is not a new issue that our district is facing very serious challenges in capital outlay funding. The school district continuously strives to be a good steward of the taxpayers' dollars. We've taken steps to reduce costs and to do more with less. We're one of the lowest in the state with percentage of budget spent on district-level expenditures. In fact, approximately 98.5 cents of every dollar goes to educating our students directly. Additionally, the district has avoided $3 million in utility costs since 2008. Finally, district staff has taken on many more responsibilities. We've reduced administrative staff at the district level, saving hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past several years. The revenue generated by the half-cent sales tax would greatly contribute to the school district's ability to meet our current and future maintenance and facility needs. We could better renovate existing buildings, provide for district-wide technology upgrades, and enhance our efforts in the safety and security of our students. I believe these benefits are paramount to enabling us to provide the best to our students, teachers, and staff. All revenues from a half-cent sales tax would stay in Citrus County and directly benefit our schools and our students. In addition, approximately 20% of the sales tax would be paid by out-of-county visitors and would cost the average Citrus County family a little more than $4 per month. I encourage you to explore this opportunity on our website. Educate yourself, friends, and family on this initiative. Thank you for your continued trust. I remain grateful to be your superintendent. I encourage you to make your voice heard in August. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Chamber Report. I'm Josh Wooten, your host. Our guest today is Doug Dodd, Citrus County School Board member. And when we took a break, Doug, we were talking about the enormity of the school system, you know, that the amount of students that come to your campuses every day. We talked about it's the largest restaurant business in the county by 100 times.
Right.
I mean, 20,000 meals or something, I think I heard, with breakfasts and lunches. You run a transportation system that's larger than any in the county with the buses. It's a big business. I bet you that business degree comes in handy when you're pouring through that budget.
Well, when we look at our budget, it is something that has helped me, and you know, it's good. You know, any member of the public can go online to our website and look at our budget. And so it's out there, it's published on the website, it's there now if people wanted to go and look at the budget. Now, we have not approved next year's school budget yet. We're in the process of that now.
When will that occur? That's going to occur over the summer? You're going to be pouring through the budget?
Right, that'll occur in August, and so we'll have that information out, and that'll then be posted once it's approved, and that'll be out there. You know, if anyone ever has any questions, though, too, about our budget, we're open. You know, Tammy Wilson's our finance director there at the school board office. Mike Mullen is the assistant superintendent. Call one of those people, call the superintendent. I mean, we're not hiding anything, and as we look forward, as we move ahead and we look at the issues, the budget issues that we face, we want to be open to the public, and we want to present our case, so to speak.
Now, I believe you are the largest taxing authority in Citrus County as well.
Yes, we get the largest piece.
You exceed the BOCC.
Yes.
And a lot of that is mandated by the state. Am I correct in saying that?
Our entire operating.
Like your flexibility is nothing like other taxing authorities.
Not at all. No. The state sets the local required effort, the tax rate, the millage rate for schools. We have a 1.5 mil that we assess for capital outlay. It's limited to 1.5 mils. The state had 2 mils. Back in 2008, it was 2 mils. If we still had 2 mils over the last 7, 8 years, we wouldn't be in the position we're in now. But it has been reduced to 1.5 mils.
And they did that legislatively?
They did that legislatively.
Which the legislature tends to do. We're gonna cut taxes, but we're not gonna. It's not gonna affect us. It's gonna affect your local schools and your local counties and.
Right. But in order for education to be equal throughout Florida, so the wealthier counties don't have all the great schools and the poorer counties have all the bad schools. There is a program in place in the state of Florida that balances all that out. And that is how the state sets the local required effort, and that's how they determine where all this money that goes in for education is then given back out to those school districts to kind of equal the playing field.
So you were able to levy 2 mills prior to you coming on the board.
Correct.
7, 8 years ago.
That's correct.
The legislature changed that to 1.5.
1.5 now, yes.
Is there an option that the voters can vote on to bring that back up?
There is an option. We would have to present that for a referendum for voters to vote to increase the millage rate, a 1/4 mil. That's what we can ask for, is a 1/4 mil. And that actually passed one time in Citrus County. And that's every 2 years. So for me, I do not like continuing to tax the property owners. And so I am not for an increase in property millage. I don't think it'll pass again. It failed the second time. The voters voted it down for a tax increase on property taxes. And so I think as we are looking for a sales tax referendum that we're going to present, that is a great way for everyone to be able to contribute to our schools. And we also would look at the benefit of having non-residence tourism. Tourists that come into the county would help fund some of that. It's done in all these other counties in Florida. Very few counties don't have an additional sales tax. It's 6% is set by the state, and then the state allows counties to put referendums before the voters to increase that.
Well, the Chamber of Commerce is studying this because there's that 1/4 mil, there's that there's the lack of having impact fees in place right now. There's other things, but I've met with administration, school administration, because we like to actually do our due diligence before we go running around spouting off things. And basically, because of the lack of revenue over several years, those two things, impact fees and that 1/4 mil, would not really catch you up, according to administrators that I've met with.
Not at all. We've lost $75 million in the last 8 years, and we've lost over 44 million in the last 5 years. So it has taken its toll on our revenue that's coming in, and that's for capital now. I'm talking about our capital. We have an operating budget and we have a capital budget. Our operating budget goes to pay for teacher salaries and benefits and all those things.
Maintenance
that take
on the schools.
Well, no, our maintenance comes under our capital.
Oh, good.
So
good.
Maintenance comes under capital.
So I'm getting that confused with impact fees, what you can do with impact fees, but capital is maintenance.
Well, that's correct. Now, some maintenance positions, if they're not directly affiliated with the school, they would come under the operating. But when we look at the needed work on roofs, and when we look at what's needed to be done on parking lots and all those things, that can be funded out of our capital budget. But a vast majority of the capital goes for those needs. If they're air conditioning units, air chillers, if there are items needed in our lunchrooms, our kitchens, those things, school buses, all those things fall under capital. So we've lost a lot of money, a lot of revenue that we haven't been able to have. We've had now our 5-year plan, we've identified that in 5 years we will not have the money necessary to pay a bond payment that we have on the Christopher River High School renovations that were done. So we're at that point now. We have to make decisions. And this is the planning process that goes on. This isn't just, oh, all of a sudden we're in trouble. I mean, we're looking 4 or 5 years down the road, but we have to plan for that now, looking at the losses, looking at our capital reserves that continue to go down, and looking at the revenue sources that continue to drop. We've got to do some things to change that in Citrus County.
Well, that leads us nicely into our break, because what the school board has decided is to go to the citizens of Citrus County, the voters, and say that we can solve these issues once and for all with a ½ cent sales tax.
That's right.
And so we're going to talk about that referendum when we get back from this short break. We will be right back with Doug Dodd. Welcome back to the Chamber Report. We're here with Doug Dodd, Citrus County School Board member, and we're talking about a lot of the good things that the school system does, but we've kind of moved into some of the challenges with revenue versus the obligations that y'all have. You said something before the break that I had not heard before during this argument. And as I say, the Chamber's studying this. We haven't come out in favor of it. We're glad that you're going to the voters to tell them and ask them to partner with you on this. But you just said something that's very concerning, that your bond obligations may be in peril if you don't find a way to resolve this issue.
If we stay on the same course that we're on now, in 5 years, we will not have the money to pay a $3 million bond payment on our Christopher High School project. Now, obviously, the school board is not going to, the school district, the school administration is not going to let that happen. But if that means we're going to have to make a lot of cuts, that means we're going to have to change. We're going to have to move a lot of things into our operating budget that used to come out of our capital budget. So what we are doing as a board is we have passed a referendum to go on the ballot for the voters to decide, for us to be able to present to the public the needs of the school district. And they will decide whether or not to add a ½ cent sales tax for capital. This is for capital expenditures. This is for renovations. This is for maintenance.
A re-roof of the school.
Yes. This is for new buses. This is for items that we need, that we have a 5-year work plan for, and we even have a 10-year work plan on our building needs. And right now we do not have, right now on the 10-year plan, any new schools. So what we're talking about right now is not adding new schools and new buildings. What we're talking about is taking care of the maintenance of our schools, and we want our kids to go to a facility that's well maintained and well kept. And we don't want to have to take money out of the operating budget, out of the classroom monies, out of the teachers' monies that are there for the kids to
well, how much do you really have to play with there? If your class size is mandated and your technology needs are mandated, and there's a lot of things that are mandated, how much wiggle room do y'all have?
Well, there's, we have about $24 million in our reserves right now, and the road we're on right now, that's going to be whittled down in 5 years, where we won't be able to make that $3 million bond payment. So that's why we have to look at changing things now. And one of the things that we can do is, in order to improve some of our schools, Floral City Elementary School, for example, still has 5 portable classrooms at that school. They've had since 1995. Those are things, portables are supposed to be a temporary solution. We went into Homosassa Elementary School, renovated that school, made that school a nice community school. I want to see those community schools survive and thrive. We need to do that at Floral City Elementary School.
Have you seen a direct correlation with investment into the infrastructure of the school and bringing up the...
Well, studies have shown that learning occurs at a higher rate in schools that are well maintained and well kept. And so those are things that we owe it to our children to be able to provide that. At Floral City Elementary School, I really would like to see some changes. We did a master site plan for there. We're looking at $9 to $11 million to get rid of those portables, to build a classroom, a building classroom, instead of having kids go to portable classrooms, and to improve that school, to keep the historical significance of the buildings that are there, but to expand on that. I think we owe that to the people of Floral City. Inverness Middle School is another area that really needs a lot of work. It's been chopped up, things have done here and there to it, but it is really in need of some major renovation and repairs. We're looking at Inverness Primary School. We did this project at Crystal River High School. There's still some needs at Crystal River High School, I've been told, that would be in that capital budget as well. So those are things that we're looking at. We think that the public we serve, if they know the facts, if they see the amount of revenue that's been cut over the years, they see how well we've managed the monies that we've been given, but we're getting to the point now to say, hey, if we want to move forward, if we want to improve our schools, if we want to stay status quo, this is what we need. If this sales tax initiative does not pass, we will be moving backwards. We will be forced to make cuts. We'll be forced to look at programs in our schools. If they're not related to math, English, or science, there's going to be programs that we're going to have to look at because we cannot spend beyond our means. If we've only been given a certain amount of money for maintenance and capital, and we have needs there that we have to meet, it's going to come out of the operating budget. And if it comes out of the operating budget, it's going to come away from the students. It's going to take away from kids. You look at technology today, the requirements that we have on technology, that we have to have half of all of our curriculum has to be digital curriculum. That means students have to have a computer device, an iPad, or a laptop. You look at the testing now that's going on. They're going away from PBTs, paper-based tests. They're computer-based tests, CBTs. You know, so kids are having to be tested on computers. And then the legislature says, oh, but they can't be tested on the computer that they're assigned because there's a fear that there could be cheating that would take place. So you have to have about 25% more computers just for the students to be able to test on. Those are added expense. Those technology expenses are capital expenses. You know, we deal with security and safety issues, and I'm all about safe schools. I mean, you know, as from being a law enforcement officer all these years, you know, we're moving in areas I can't explain a whole lot because there are some confidential things, but you know, even security cameras. Those are things that we need to make sure we're taking care of our students on safety and security. These are capital expenditures. And I think we have a very generous public. I think people want to take care of kids. And I hope they will. I hope they'll want it enough to go to the polls and vote for this half-cent sales tax because, like I said, we're either going to be moving forward or going to be doing everything to just skip by. And that's not what we want for our students. That's not what I want. That's not what I want for our teachers. We want to have be able to produce a quality student who's able to either go to college or go into a vocational program. Josh, we have a lot of vocational programs in our schools. We have the Health Academy at Crystal River High School. We have an Art Academy. We have a Technology Academy that's starting at Citrus High School. These are programs that we would have to look seriously at. We would have to look at things like pay to play. You know, if you want to be in the band, it's going to cost this much. If you want to play on a sport, these are things I hope we don't have to make those decisions on. I hope we can stay, you know, able to provide a quality environment school and also have programs out there for kids.
And you showed me some statistics during the break that says your average citizen will pay about $10 a year if this is implemented. Yeah, it's not a lot. It's a half cent. It raises our sales tax from 6 to 6.5%. Look at the counties around us. You know, Levy County 7%, Hernando 6.5%, Pasco 7%, Sumter 7%. We're asking for a half cent for kids. For a family of four, it's about $50. We made a very compelling case to the viewers, and if you have any other questions, contact Doug. Thank you so much for being on, and the Chamber will stay on top of this and continue to review it and educate our members. Thank you very much. See you next week. Welcome back to the Chamber Report. I'm Josh Wooten, your host. We're here with our Superintendent of Schools, Sandra Sam Himmel. When we left off, Ms. Himmel, you were talking about, we were talking about, there's 2 mills that used to be available for capital.
Correct.
The legislature decided, hey, let's cut taxes, but it won't affect us. It'll affect local school districts. So they took it down to 1.5, but left a provision in there that voters could bring it back up to 1.75. Am I getting
Correct.
it right?
And a 0.25.
At a 0.25.
Correct.
So our voters did that
We did that.
initially.
And when they do that, the way we did that, it was good for 2 years. And then it would sunset and we'd have to go back out. And then we went back out and the voters voted it down. And so the school board looked at that. I think that was the bottom of 12 other amendments. And whether the public was for it or against it, I think by the time they get to that, they're voting no for most everything anyway. So we were not successful with it, and that was in 2000, what was that, 2008? 2012. So, and then when we don't get that, then the decrease in our funding, it just continues.
So you lost 0.50, you got back 0.25, then you lost 0.25, so now you're back to 1.50.
Correct.
In addition to that, the county commission, in their infinite wisdom, decided to do a moratorium on impact fees, which alone, let's be frank, would not have solved the problem, but it darn sure would have been stockpiling some money for the future.
And the difference between the impact fees and what the school board voted to go after with the half-cent sales tax, the impact fees would have been for new growth. So if we had an influx of new students, then, and you know, with the parkway and with people being so transient, I can't tell you from now till next January if I'm going to have 100 new students, then we have a projection, or if we're going to have 500 new students. So we've been averaging about 100 students a year, but with the impact fees, which is for new growth, if they continue that moratorium, and I told the Builder Association, I met with them, I said, my stance and the school board stance has always been whatever everybody else gets, because don't forget, the commissioners one year voted for us to get 50%. It was our group and one other group, and everybody else remained at 100%. So, we've always said we want what everybody else gets.
Well, nobody's getting nothing
and now everybody's getting nothing.
So are you happy?
I'm happy. But the half-cent sales tax, we'll be able to use that money for
the restrictions are not
more flexible.
More flexible, yes. But y'all have specific things that you are going to the community and saying this is what we will do with that money, and this is the ills that it'll solve. So go ahead and tell us.
We had a group come in many, many years ago, and then they came back in and updated their report. And there were schools that they identified with the way that it was maintained and everything else. Chris River Primary and Chris River High were the #1 priorities. So we completed those two jobs. We did not finish one of the projects with Chris River High School because of funding. So that's on our books to do if we get the sales tax passed. Floral City Elementary, Inverness Primary School, and Inverness Middle School were all marked as priority 2. So now they are moved to priority 1. So all 4 of those schools will be in the plan if we get the sales tax amendment passed, so that we can go out there and start renovating and remodeling and doing those types of things for those schools. Because any of our schools, we've got some schools dating back, I think, to 1926. So it's no different than your house. If your roof leaks, we got to fix it. And I hate to, this isn't a threat to the public, but if the sales tax does not pass, then we eventually will have to go into our operating budget to take money out of that, which is athletics or programs, sending, teacher salaries and those types of things. So for us to maintain our buildings, we've got renovations going on, we've got roofing projects, air conditioning projects. So those are the dollars that we want to make sure that we can maintain and continue, and the half-cent sales tax will help boost those renovations that we want to do with the 4 schools. Because Inverness Middle School, when that was renovated many, many years ago, that project was never completed, and now you can tell it.
So basically, in a nutshell, this will enable you to take care of the global pictures without the impact fees, without the 0.25.
Correct.
This will pretty much solve the problem and ensure that you can make debt service payments. Now I want to be clear on that, because when I had Doug Dodd on here, of course y'all are going to make it. You're not going to default on your debt.
Right, we're going to make the payment. We will make the payment.
But when I try to tell people that are asking us about it is, but that money will come out of the classroom to pay the debt.
Exactly. And we've been in budget needs before, but we've always really done, I feel like, an excellent job. We've left 7 administrative jobs vacant at the district level. We've consolidated positions. We've not hired certain positions. We've, limited athletic travel, because everybody says, well, if you're cutting here, you should cut athletics. But you know what? I've taken a strong stance at our arts programs, our athletic programs. We're going to maintain those the best we can, because I do believe that 40–50% of our kids come because of the arts, and I want to make sure we maintain that. So the school board and our district will have to go back to the books again, which we're in them every day, but to go back if this does not pass. So we feel really confident, and we know that our job is to get out and educate the public, because I do believe that whether you're retired and have no kids, you want safe schools. You want us to be able to educate those students so they can go out and become our next doctors and lawyers and business people and those types of things. So.
And in the chamber, we have not taken an official position of this, although we are partnering with y'all to educate our members with your fact sheet and stuff. Because, Inverness is proposing a $500,000, and they just put a few bucks onto the garbage assessment, and now a 1/2 cent sales tax coming here. So we don't want, as we're coming out of this recession, government to say, well, we've been suffering too, so this is the year we're going to try to get a little more. Having said that, the chamber also understands that the best investment we can make in this community, because it's our #1 issue, is having a trained, educated workforce and citizenry.
Right.
So,
and
so we are on your side when it comes to that. It's like, we're saying that is, if we're going to make an investment, that's where the investment should be made. That and infrastructure. Those are the 2 things that are really making us the 2nd worst unemployment rate in the state of Florida.
And I go back to recruitment of teachers, recruitment of good families, and I know that people look at schools. I've had realtors tell me, they call us all the time for our rankings and we're, programs in our schools. So I do know that other organizations use us as a recruitment tool. I've heard people say, well, if they get that sales tax, they'll do whatever they want to with it.
We can't.
No, we don't. We advertise what we're going to do with it. We've put it in the referendum.
And it sunsets too, doesn't it?
10 years. It's a 10-year sunsets.
Most of them are 20 years, and it's 10 years.
So we set it at 10 years. At 10 years, we can't levy that unless we go back to the voters.
Well, and what I'm saying is y'all have come up, now the sample ballots are out.
Correct.
And the absentees are out.
Yeah.
So, this is important to educate yourself. Where can people call to get additional information?
They can go on our website, which is www.citrus.k12.fl.us, or Google us and we'll pop up. And we've got the fact sheet. I've got a video on there to talk about some of the facts. We've got question and answers. And then we've got a really good PowerPoint with all the slides. Some of our board members are attending forums to share information with that. So we're trying to get out there. We've got a mailer getting ready to go out, or may be out, and we'll have another mailer from the foundation that's going out.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank
I'll
you.
have you back
Appreciate
soon.
it. Appreciate
Thank you for tuning into the Chamber Report. We'll see you next week.